Since the beginning of 2025, when geopolitical tensions in the Middle East escalated, the global financial market has had remarkable reactions, especially the U.S. defense stocks. According to statistics from Bloomberg and Reuters, amidst the fire and smoke of war, Lockheed Martin shares quietly increased by more than 25%. Northrop Grumman shares increased by about 31%. And Raytheon Technology shares recorded an increase of nearly 40% in the first half of the year alone. This is not a temporary phenomenon. Every time a conflict breaks out, the stock value of these corporations increases, followed by a series of defense contracts worth tens, even hundreds of billions of dollars. In that context, the U.S. Congress continues to maintain a huge military spending level, $886 billion for the year 2025, equivalent to more than 3.3% of GDP. A significant part of this flows to private corporations, the main defense contractors of the United States. It is worth mentioning that while the defense budget is increasing, spending on health, education, or social housing is being cut in many states. People bear taxes, struggle with inflation, and reduced welfare, while the defense market records profit beyond expectations. So the question is not how much damage does war cause, but each year, how does the U.S. defense industry really earn from the war? And who are the people paying for this game? Welcome back to Economy Roast. In today's video, join me as we unpack the numbers behind the gunfire and explain why war can be a nightmare for the world, but a golden harvest for American military corporations.
When it comes to military power, the United States of America is always the first name that comes to mind for many people. It is no coincidence because this country possesses a giant war machine, far surpassing all competitors in the world. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, the US accounts for a staggering proportion, more than 1/3 of total global defense spending. To maintain this superpower status, the United States is constantly pouring huge amounts of money into the defense sector. The defense budget for 2025 alone has reached an unprecedented record, $886 billion. Imagine how big this number is. It is not only a resource for national defense, but also an extremely powerful economic engine that nurtures a separate industry. And this is where we need to introduce a core concept to better understand this issue: the military-industrial political complex. This is not just an academic term, but a reality that shapes American policy and the economy. Essentially, it describes the close symbiotic relationship between lawmakers, the national military, and the arms manufacturing corporations. The arms manufacturing corporations provide technology and jobs. The military ensures the procurement and use, and politicians, through budgets and policies, maintain this cycle. This connection is so strong that it can create common interests, sometimes beyond the purely national security interests. Even former US President and five-star World War II General Dwight D. Eisenhower once warned about a quiet but persistent power. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. With what is happening is what Eisenhower feared gradually becoming a reality. Some analysts believe that US defense corporations not only produce weapons, but are also big guys in the financial market, having a direct influence on foreign policy and security. It is no coincidence that every time geopolitical tensions flare up, defense industry stocks skyrocket. The names dominating the global arms market are none other than Lockheed Martin, RTX, Raytheon Technologies, Boeing, General Dynamics, and Northrop Grumman. Since the attacks of September 11, 2001, the Pentagon has spent at least $4 billion on these five companies, a number that is enough to imagine the level of dependence and the scale of profits they earn. Let's take a look at the specific numbers and clear evidence for this golden opportunity. Lockheed Martin's corporation is not only famous for the F-35 stealth fighter or advanced missiles, satellites, and radars. In 2024, Lockheed Martin achieved revenue of $71.43 billion, marking an increase of 5.14% compared to 2023. Financial reports for the first quarter of 2025 show that their revenue continued to grow by 4%, reaching $18 billion. From June 2024 to June 2025, LMT stock fluctuated but remained high, ranging from $467.1 to $460.445. This demonstrates their remarkable resilience in a volatile market. For example, a HIMARS system manufactured by Lockheed costs about $10 million. And Poland alone has ordered $10 billion worth of it by 2023. Huge orders that go straight to Lockheed Martin. Raytheon Technologies RTX, known for missile systems like the Tomahawk. Each one costs about $2 million. In 2024, RTX will record an impressive revenue of $80.74 billion, up 17.15%. from 2023. And what's really remarkable is that from June 2024 to June 2025, RTX's stock has increased by an impressive 41%, from $100.39 to $141.55. For 2025, RTX is even more optimistic, forecasting adjusted sales of $83 billion to $84 billion, along with expectations for continued strong earnings growth. This is a growth that clearly shows the direct link between conflict and profits. Northrop Grumman specializes in aerospace and defense technology, known for its next-generation stealth bomber projects. In 2024, Northrop Grumman will achieve revenue of $41.033 billion, up 4.44% from 2023. Their NOC stock is also not out of the growth trend, rising from $435.95 to $490.025 from June 2024 to June 25, an increase of 12.4%. Although Q1 2025 recorded a slight decrease in revenue to $9.5 billion due to specific factors, with a record backlog of $92.8 billion, their long-term prospects remain extremely bright. Boeing Defense and General Dynamics, the other two big guys, also hold major contracts with the Pentagon. In 2024, Boeing's defense division, Boeing Defense, Space and Security, achieved revenue of $23.92 billion. In early 2025, this segment recorded $6.3 billion in revenue for Q1. Meanwhile, General Dynamics achieved revenue of $47.7 billion in 2024 and began 2025 with Q1 revenue of $12.2 billion, marking an increase of 13.9% year over year. According to Morgan Stanley, General Dynamics shares rose 14% from June 2023 to April 2025. In total, the United States exported a record $318.7 billion worth of weapons in 2024, an increase of 29% from 2023. This figure far exceeded all previous predictions and demonstrated how the war in Ukraine has significantly boosted global demand for weapons. For 2025, although the final figures are not yet available, with a record United States defense budget of $886 billion and geopolitical tensions continuing to escalate, experts predict that global arms exports, and especially those of the United States, will remain extremely high, possibly even exceeding the $350 billion mark. Clearly, revenue from wars increases every year. Since the outbreak of the Ukraine conflict and the increase in tensions in the Middle East, the demand for weapons, from anti-aircraft missiles to fighter jets, has been pushed to record highs. When the war broke out, the stock prices of defense corporations also exploded, reflecting the market's expectations for lucrative contracts. So where do these numbers come from? The Pentagon is their biggest and most loyal customer. These corporations cannot survive, cannot thrive without government contracts worth billions of dollars every year. This is not just a normal buying and selling relationship, it is the lifeblood of an entire industry. Every year, when Congress approves the defense budget, hundreds of billions of dollars are transferred to private arms corporations in the name of military procurement contracts. Here's how it works. Congress approves defense spending. For example, in 2025, the figure is $886 billion, setting a new record. The Department of Defense allocates the budget by category, from research and development to production and deployment, Arms corporations such as Lockheed Martin, RTX, General Dynamics receive orders, deploy production, and report quarterly profits. To better visualize the scale of these contracts, let's look at some concrete examples, the numbers of which can make us think. Take the Tomahawk cruise missile. As we know, each missile costs about $2 million to produce. With conflicts taking place around the world, the demand for this type of precision strike weapon is constant. Each time a country orders hundreds, even thousands of them, the amount of money that flows to corporations is up to billions of dollars for just one type of product. Not only weapons, but military infrastructure is also a huge source of profit. Building a new military base can cost 500 million US dollars or more. These projects include not only construction, but also technology systems, security, and long-term maintenance, all of which are lucrative contracts for private companies. And the pinnacle of defense contracts is probably the construction of an aircraft carrier. The cost of building a modern supercarrier like the Gerald R. Ford class can be as high as $13 to $14 billion. That is 13 to 14,000 million US dollars. These are projects that span decades, ensuring a stable and long-term source of revenue for the shipbuilders and their suppliers. These numbers are not just individual orders, they represent a huge supply chain, an economic system built to meet and sustain military needs. It is these huge and continuous contracts that have turned defense companies into powerful financial forces, with a steady stream of income from government spending policies. As we see, U.S. defense corporations raking in hundreds of billions of dollars a year from war, the inevitable next question is, who is paying for this game and who is being left behind? Just look at the federal budget balance sheet. In 2025, the U.S. defense budget hit $886 billion. That's right, nearly $900 billion, more than the entire GDP of several developing nations combined. Just $1.5 billion for the entire country's welfare programs. That's less than $2 billion for millions in need. The question here is not, America is short of money. It's what is the US government prioritizing spending on? Education is cut by 8% in 2024 to 2025. Millions of people lose access to Medicaid, the health insurance system for low-income people. Meanwhile, the defense budget continues to rise steadily year after year, despite inflation and public debt. A concrete example, in Detroit, once the manufacturing heart of the United States, many public schools do not have enough computers for students. A classroom without glass, the cold winter wind cuts through the skin, students have to wrap themselves in blankets to study. Meanwhile, the US spends billions of dollars to build 3 new military bases in Saudi Arabia, tens of thousands of kilometers away, a place American students will never set foot. This is no longer a budget issue, it is a public morality issue, a reflection of national priorities. Fiscal policy is a statement of values. If a country is willing to spend nearly $1 trillion on war, but hesitates to spend a single penny on schools, hospitals, housing, etc., then the problem is no longer money, it is direction. So what are the American people paying taxes for? A shrinking welfare system, rising inflation, overstretched healthcare, while arms stockpiles continue to rise steadily with each new conflict. In response to this situation, U.S. Senator from Vermont Bernie Sanders voiced his opinion in an op-ed published on his official website titled, "Why I Voted Against the Defense Budget," December 2024. Sanders criticized the enormous U.S. military spending while everyday Americans continue to struggle. He stated, "Today in the United States, 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck. But while so many Americans are struggling to survive, the U.S. is spending a record amount on the military. We are now spending more than the next 9 countries combined." War, in its economic nature, is a business, and like any business, it seeks revenue, growth, and inputs. But unlike conventional industries, the raw materials of the war economy are smoke, fear, and human lives. Every time a $2 million missile is launched, it burns not just fuel, but public money taken directly from taxpayers' pockets. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing may report quarterly profits, but what about the people? They report losses in welfare, healthcare, education, and trust in government. So what do you think about everything we've just explored? Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more economic analysis like this. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.